as we are joined by senior middle blocker and outside hitter, To'a Faleao. To'a, thanks so much for joining us on today's show. Let's talk a little bit about, just jump right in with a little bit about this, the LCU Chap Classic this last weekend, in which you were named the MVP, and rightly so. I mean, 48 kills, 41 digs, 5 blocks throughout the tournament over there in Lubbock Christian University. Just talk a little bit about what you were able to do over that 4-game tournament, and just kind of how you were able to bring home that MVP title.
Well, before the game, Coach gave me a pep talk because it was obviously my first game. And she just told me to go out there. I don't need to be an all-star, so I just went in. I knew what my job was, and it was just to help my team win, get kills, get some digs.
I mean, you certainly did that to a great extent. Let's talk a little bit about, you mentioned coming in, this was your first weekend. You're jumping into your senior season at this point, and you're a 2-year transfer from Salt Lake Community College. You had a lot of success there. At your time there, as you transferred down here just last season, played a handful of games. In fact, 27 starts last year as a junior, and then of course this year is your senior season. What has it kind of been to come down from Salt Lake Community College as a transfer, get used to Robin Felder's system, now coming into your senior season, finally feel like you've gotten your feet wet? How has it been? Just kind of what are your expectations as far as this senior season goes, and what are your expectations going forward?
Well, it's been good. It's definitely different from JUCO. JUCO is just, I feel like, slower pace, so coming here was definitely a transition.
I mean, just talk a little bit about, how has it been learning under Robin Felder? I mean, what kind of coach is she? I mean, we talked a lot about it earlier, how she kind of likes to bring in these tough opponents early, and then so you can kind of get ready for RMAC. Mm-hmm. What's it like just being in practice with Coach Felder?
It's awesome. I feel like Coach cheers us on and off the court all the time, so it's nice to have her there, like, as your coach and as your cheerleader, because she wants what's best for us.
We're chatting with Dixie State volleyball senior outside hitter and middle blocker, To'a Faleao. To'a, you kind of have that split position. You do a little bit of everything. It may be a dumb question, but I'm just going to flat out ask you, for you, what's more fun, getting up high above the net and slamming it down, or do you want to get the blocks? Obviously, I know what the stats say, but you're listed as both an outside hitter and a middle blocker when you need to be. So what for you is the most fun to get out there and do?
Definitely killing the ball is fun, but I'm not a great blocker, so when I do get a block, it feels awesome.
That's what I was going to say. Just tell the story there. And we see you get up high and blast that thing down there, which we saw you do over and over and over again in Texas. We're going to go back to that Texas tournament just a little bit. You go down there, and 4 tough opponents, and they're all South Central region opponents, so teams that you could possibly be playing in the NCAA tournament a little bit later. What kind of things was Coach Felder saying going into the tournament, into that round robin tournament last weekend, and what was she doing to get you all as a team mentally prepared to bounce back from a 1-3 start at home and then to get out on the road and to go 4-0?
Yeah, I think that's definitely what we had in mind the week before. So she kept saying redemption, and we all wanted to show that weekend before was not us, that we are definitely a way better team.
Of course, we mentioned a couple times, you're in your senior season, you come here as a junior last year and have a phenomenal year, second team All-RMAC, and just do a little bit of everything for Dixie State. And like I said, we've talked a little bit about it, but what were some of the biggest lessons that you learned last year in your first year transitioning? You mentioned some of the differences already between playing junior college and then playing at the NCAA Division II level. But what were some of the biggest things you learned last year in your first year in a Trailblazer uniform?
Definitely a lot. This year I have learned to pass better, just because I want to be able to be that person for my team, and just being a voice on the court, because I think that helps a lot, communication.
One of the things we like to ask a lot of our student athlete guests here as we continue to chat with To'a Faleao here on Trailblazer Weekly is how you kind of got into volleyball. I mean, was there maybe a friend or a family member, or was there maybe it was one of the coaches that kind of recruited you in high school to come play for the team, or what was it exactly that got you into volleyball and made it just so that you love this sport as much as you do?
Well, first I played volleyball, I think, in 8th grade, and I totally gave up on it because it just wasn't a sport for me, so I stuck to basketball. And then my aunt came down and she had a club team, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna try it and see how it goes from there. So I went and I fell in love with the sport again.
And what is it about volleyball? Maybe, I mean, I played baseball in high school, and I always reflect back on, some of the lessons that the sport taught me, and some of the things that I've carried through to who I am today. Is there, what are the lessons that the volleyball can teach? I mean, maybe, give us a metaphor, maybe, I don't know, or something like that, or maybe something that you've learned from volleyball that you've kind of been able to carry with you through today.
I think there's definitely a lot of lessons you can learn, but one thing I've learned being in college is time management. To make friends with your teammates. They're your best friends, so you kind of have to be, but I love my teammates, so that's pretty easy. Another thing is,
I mean, gotta be a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of different things you can learn from every different sport, and obviously volleyball certainly teaches you a lot of those things. Talk a little bit about you're coming now up into Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference play just this weekend. You're bringing in a couple opponents. How has it been? I mean, is there any sort of extra maybe emphasis that goes into these Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference games because they do matter as far as the standings go? I mean, is it talked about much in practice, saying, all right, now these first 2 tournaments were kind of a quote unquote warm up. Mm-hmm. Now we go into RMAC play. Now we've really got to be able to, dot our I's and cross our T's and be united as a team. Is it anything like that, or is it just kind of business as usual, and the opponent coming in is another opponent that we need to beat regardless of if they're in the RMAC?
Regardless of who we play, it's always just to win and do our job. I think Coach Feller has done a good job, like having those teams lined up for us, like the hard teams that we played before, so that we are ready when it does come to conference.
We're chatting with Dixie State Volleyball senior To'a Faleao here on Trailblazer Weekly as the Trailblazers get set to open Rocky Mountain Athletic Conference play this weekend. And so we love talking to our student athletes and getting to know you just a little bit better. And that's why we ask about some of those early volleyball memories. You mentioned starting in 8th grade. And then thinking you wanted to play basketball at first, and you gave it another shot. What position did you play at when you were first starting to play volleyball and getting back into it? Were you outside hitter? Were you getting up and slamming the ball down? What position did you play, and what really was it that clicked that made you want to stick with it and play in college?
When I first started off playing, I was a middle blocker, and it was definitely hard. And then I played club volleyball, and my coach, Kim Norman, was like, no, you need to learn how to pass. Like, you're this huge girl. Like, you can't just be a middle blocker. You have to be more than that. And I was like, okay, I need to learn how to pass. So I think learning how to pass and just learning the basic skills, like, made me fall in love with it again.
And at what point did you realize that, you know what, I can get up high above this net and punish opponents, because that's what we're used to seeing happen around here? At what point did that start to come into play as your volleyball development occurred and as you got better and better and had colleges looking at you and you played at the junior college level and now here at Dixie State? When did that start to take place, to transition out to the outside?
I think it definitely didn't start until I went to Slick. So like after high school, I was like, wow, I just need to be confident and like go up there just to do what I do, I guess.
So is there a favorite? And I'm putting you on the spot here, but we always like to do this as well. Is there a favorite memory that you've had either through high school, your first 2 years at Salt Lake Community College, your next 2 years here at Dixie State? Is there a memory? Maybe it was a game, a moment. Is there something that you can recall that is maybe one of your most favorite memories or experiences that you've had in your volleyball career?
I think my most favorite memory will probably be in high school. So my junior year, we played against Bingham and we lost to them in the semifinals. So we didn't get to play in that championship game. And then my senior year, we beat them in semifinals and we were able to play in the championship game. So that was fun.
It's always fun to get a little bit of revenge, I guess, if you will. To'a, it's been fun to watch you this last year, and then obviously coming into this season. Last year you led the team in service aces with 31 service aces, which I can't even believe that you can get 31 aces. I mean, that you just hit it and basically no one on the other team touches it. is incredible to me. So congratulations on leading the team last season in service aces. They also were second in kills with 239. So definitely leading the team. What's it been like for you to kind of be, and now as a senior, kind of a leader on that team to say, hey, let's get together? I know obviously you've got Lauren Gamble and Megan Trainer and some of the other upperclassmen that you've been able to do that with. But what's it kind of been like for you as far as being a leader for that team?
I think it's definitely a huge role. I don't think of myself as a leader, but I think actions speak louder than words, so I try and help my team by doing that.
Just a couple minutes left here with To'a Faleao here on Trailblazer Weekly. So I've got your player bio pulled up here on the website, and I just see a couple of things that I'm not sure how that works out. It says favorite team is the Golden State Warriors, but it says your favorite athlete is Kobe Bryant. Now, how does that work out? You got Warriors and Lakers. How does that work out? How do the Golden State Warriors end up, in all seriousness, being your favorite sports team?
I'm from California,
Okay.
and I guess my family's just a huge Golden State Warriors fan. Steph Curry, of course, but Kobe Bryant has always been my favorite. Just the way he plays, yeah.
Well, if there's someone to model your game and your work ethic after, as far as a professional athlete, he's definitely a very good example to follow there. I just saw that there and just had to ask, Lakers, Warriors, how's that all working out? But To'a, thanks so much for stopping by the studio today and joining us on Trailblazer Weekly. It's one of our favorite things to be able to get to know our student athletes a little bit better and have those watching and listening be able to get to know our student athletes as well, because honestly, that's what college athletics is all about, and at every level, about those that are putting in the work and competing out there. And we really admire what you all do out there on the court. So best of luck this weekend and going forward.
Thank you.